Hello and welcome to part 2, where we make this stringer into a bead. If you accidentally started with this one, go back and watch part 1 and then go ahead and watch this part. All we're going to need for this, I'm going to use my sparkly yellow and a nice clean clear and a mandrel. This one we're going to use the disc wrap method also, but we don't want to melt it down. This one requires us to build a disc and leave it raised, and we're going to lay the stringer along the top of that raised disc. Go ahead and build a disc right now. We're not going to make a very tall one either. That'll get us into trouble later. So I'm just going to build a small disc, just like that. Okay, small even disc. And now I take the stringer that I made, and I want to preheat it. I'm just running it back and forth through the flame just a little bit. And then my disc is underneath the flame. I'm not letting it get hot enough to melt. I'm hot enough to be tacky, but not hot enough for it to melt. I'm going to take my stringer, I'm going to lay it over to the right, bring these two up underneath the flame, and then I'm just going to heat up the edge of this stringer and the very tip top of the disc. Just very carefully, very slowly, I'm just going to get the stringer hot enough that it starts to slump and fuse on top of the disc, but not hot enough that the disc collapses. Okay, take it out. There, I've just laid that along the top. Now the hard part is getting this off without messing up the bead. I just give it a little bit of a twist, pull it off, and then I just pull a little bit of that piece off. Okay, now again I've got the stringer here laid across the top of the disc. I'm going to take my clear rod in the flame, keep the disc hot. I want to heat up an inch or two of the clear rod. I'm just preheating it a little bit. Make the wrapping go a little bit easier. Okay. Now I'm holding the disc underneath the flame and the rod above the flame, and I'm going to let the clear rod get hot enough to stick and wrap itself slightly around the stringer that I applied on there. So take it out so you can look at it. I'm just smushing it down over the top. Here, like toothpaste. When you do it, you shouldn't stop like that. It makes it difficult. So I'm heating the area of the clear just before it comes down on top of the stringer. But I'm trying not to get the stringer that's already on the disc hot. I don't want to distort it. Okay, same thing. Now I'm going to heat up this connection where they've met up with each other, and then if there's just an extra amount there, I'm just going to use the end of this to pull it off. Just clean this up a little bit. Okay. Now the tricky part, if I just jam this in the flame, the disc is so tall that it'll just fold over. And if you try this at home and your disc just collapses and folds into a wad, this is the part that'll keep you from doing that. What we need to do is get this clear to heat up and melt down like it's ice cream melting down the side of an ice cream cone. So I have this off to the side, and I'm heating one side of the disc. The whole bead is solid, and I'm just heating up this outside edge. holding it in the flame. There we go. I'm just going to heat up this edge until I get the clear to run down the side. One thing that's handy to have is a graphite pad. If this starts to move on you, you can use this graphite pad to straighten it back up. This really is the time-consuming part of it. It takes a little bit of practice. Okay. Let that set up a little bit, and I'm going to do the other side. Okay, I don't know if you can tell, the clear is just starting to encase the other side of the stringer. This just takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of practice. So now that we've got the clear encasing the stringer, we can go back and try and melt everything down into a nice standard bead shape. And this one you want to take your time. If you get too hot, it will collapse on you. So you want to work it in and out of the flame, and realize there's a little bit of a delay. The bead will get hot and it'll start to slump on you. Just take it out of the flame and let it condense on itself. If you get it so hot that it goes liquid, it's going to drip off the mandrel. You'll lose control of it. So just take your time, let it kind of work itself back down into a ball without pushing it too hard. Okay. Once it gets down to about this size, it's nice and wide, it's slumped down on itself, you can kind of pour on the heat a little bit, work it into its final bead shape. And that's what I'm going to do right here. Alright. And I think this one's done. Let's let this cool down a little bit and take a look at it. It'll be much more orange when it cools down. Let me focus this in a little bit. The reds stay really dark until all the temperature comes out of it. So there you have it. Thank you.